There we go. All right, so we're going
I
to be
got.
starting on. Go ahead.
Sorry, I gotta take a phone call.
That's fine. So we're going to go ahead and start the training. This is going to be specifically for cav and cav counters. Uh, so there's real quick. I'll just go through the begin. I can't go through that. Actually, I want to do that first. I'm going to walk through the. I can't get to my what's it called, barracks here, to walk through the line and look up stuff. So there's three major types of cav. There's Lancer cav, there's melee cav, and then there's range cav. There's a few cav that are a little bit of none of those, but a little bit of both of them, and I'll go into those individually. But generally speaking, I'm going to talk about in general terms Lancer cav, melee cav, and range cav. So going to the barracks, you'll see under the unit tree, there's a whole cav tab. And then there is the top line. All the top line is Lancer Cav. That's Cudeliers, Yeomen, Winged Hussars, and Cataphract Lancers. All the middle line is Melee Cav. That's Iron Cap Scouts and Prefixtures. It's actually also Dagger Axe Lancers. And then Range Cav is Bow Cav, the Iron Cap Bow Riders. I did leave out Fire Lancers. That's because they don't really have a type. They're kind of range, kind of melee. I'll go into them with the Laos. And then there's the Monastic Knights. That's also a Lancer Cav. There's the Rattan Rangers, which is a range. Technically, it's not a ranged. It doesn't have a type, but for purposes, we'll consider it range for tactics. It does, and that's really what this is all about. Under the seasonal units, there are multiple seasonal units. The two blue, there's the Salimshid, the Korchins, Kevtul, and Keshigs. The Korchins are range. The Salimshid are a melee cav, and the Keshigs are also a melee cav. The Kevtul are kind of a hybrid, kind of a mix between these two. I'm really not going to talk about them because I've never really used them. And then the Laos, which I've already spoken about. That's pretty much it for the cav. There is armigers, which is a type of yeoman, and a few other things such as the Sapahis. And I will go over those as we, because those are also kind of a melee thing, but those are kind of in a unique situation. So Lancer Cav, there is exactly what it sounds like. They usually have a lance, and they are used for high impact charging into the enemy. The melee cav is exactly that. They run around and use their sword and mix it up in melee. And then the range cav use range, obviously. So the misnomer for all cav, the key to all cav, it really is to you're never going to stop moving with cav. If you move with cav, you're no longer cav, you're just sitting duck. So that's the biggest thing, no matter what cav you're doing. If your cav isn't moving, you're probably not doing it right. Obviously, there's exceptions to every rule, but for the most part, that's a good rule of thumb. Should have had a warband built. Save some time. So I'm going to test out a few different... actually, let me grab a melee cav so you can see all. All right, we'll start off with the Lancer Cav, since that's usually what people think of when they think of Cav. Those are the ones that are going to have the big impacts. Those are going to do the biggest charges, things like that. The ones I have in this particular case that I'm demonstrating are the Winged Hussars. So, but any Cav will work for what I'm about to show you. And you'll look, just there's an enemy here. There is a charge button, and you charge. And then the unit goes down and does the dirty work. So you'll notice, I should have looked at them, but you'll notice they had a spool up before they lowered their lances. That is typical for all the cav. You'll notice down here at the bottom, some of mine have lost their part of their life. It wasn't because of those pike. It was actually because they hit that wall, those units right over there. So if you're in the charge on any cav and it hits a wall, it will stun it and knock it out of charge. And I'll mess that up here in a little bit when my next charge is available. So you'll notice that with the control button, I can maneuver my cav to the supply point. You can do that with any unit, but it's ultimately really important with your cav. One of the things that people do a lot is they'll ride with their cav. I don't do that a lot. In this particular training, I can't jump on my horse, but I'll demonstrate that when we get into the field battle part. So some things to do with Cav. X is your best friend with Cav. So, for example, I said don't ever stop moving with Cav. So I'm going to keep them moving. And it's a little bit harder when you're not on your horse. But why is the next one not spawning? I guess it doesn't matter. I don't need it to spawn. So I'm actually this time I'm going to charge through the gate. One of the things that you can do is push X before where you want to charge, and that lines them up. So you'll notice they're starting to line up, and then I'll just charge, and they lower their lances a lot sooner. You'll see how they're taking damage as they hit and getting stunned. And I'll do a few more things. The downside to Cav, or one of the challenges to Cav, is the little interrupters, like rocks in the middle of a field, gates, walls. The Z-axis is more stronger than a lot of Cav. The Z-axis meaning up and down. So as you go down here, especially when they try to turn this corner, I can tell you this right here is going to be a nightmare for horse. So you see, yep, getting stuck already. So that's one thing you can do to counter Cav is look for things like this, because your melee unit could be sitting here and 8 or 10 of them sitting on this rock will be completely safe for the most part from the Cav. So if I were to go up there, let's see how confused they get. See, some of them, they really hate that Z-axis. And then I bring it around. So you'll notice that if I were to do a charge right now, I had those 3 stragglers. That means my charge would, out of the 18 that I have, I'd have 3 less, so I would do less damage. So how can we maneuver that? We use the stupid AI of the unit to our advantage. Well, we try to manually compensate for it. So, for example, what I'll do is I'll hold down X, and I'll push it back behind here, and this tells them that they need to go through the gate. I'm already ready to charge, and then I charge. And that's how I get them all to go through the gate. Now, obviously, looks like there's 4 or 5 here that I wasn't able to get through. So, and I'll show you some other, the pathing that you just have to get used to. For example, let's say this was a enemy out there. I wouldn't want my Cav sitting here because enemies could shoot their archers or siege equipment up here. So I might put them back up here so that they're safer. Now, the downside to that is watch when I go to take them over here. You're going to have stragglers up there. And this is something, look at that. They're just going around, still not coming down. So that's something that as you're moving around, and when I get out to the field, I'll show you that's a big reason why you never stop moving. So again, you'll see that if I'll go to a complete stop this time. Maybe. Oh, they're archers, so I can do that. So now I'll go ahead and do my charge. You'll see how they have to line up, get their momentum going, and then slowly lower their lances. If I had pushed X in front of them, they would have started charging sooner. Sorry, did somebody have a question? Okay. So we'll go ahead and go with the melee cav. Is pretty much the exact same. Actually, I'm going to skip that one. Melee cav is pretty much the exact same because melee cav do have a charge. The charge is very similar. It's not going to penetrate as deep. They are a faster unit, so they're good. They're easier to flank with. And then they go in and mix it up in melee and charge and things like that. So now I'm using range cav. So range cav is obviously you don't want to get caught. And you'll see I'm having problems here. You'll see that there's 2 that never even went that way. So this is obviously a tight spot to use cav. It'll open up a little bit more. So it's just like what you think in other games where you it's called kiting, where you run around and you do the hitting and don't let them hit you. So just moving my cav, and because I stuttered, it's easier when you're on your horse because you can push further out and move. But anyway, that's the gist of the cav. Does anybody have any questions over the 3 basic types of cav? All right, let me get out of here, and then I'll go out in the open world, and we'll do that. And while I'm making that trek, if there's some people that are available to come with me with any kind of cav, green cav is fine. That would be cool.
Are you by shamans?
Yes.
Yeah, we're heading up to Carlsbad.
We're going to go to Carlsbad because people tend to jump in our field battles and interrupt the training. So Carlsbad's kind of out of the way.
I'm bringing monastics and armigeers.
Okay, perfect. While we're headed out there, let's see. There we go. There's some cav. I'm going to go ahead and go over the other... Oh, damn. I left a siege engine. I'll go over the other cav that aren't specifically a unit type. I had mentioned the Laos and the Fire Lance. Technically, they do have a range. I treat them like fancy Lancer cav because they have that charge, the same type of a charge as a Lancer cav. So functionally, I use them like a Lancer cav. There's ways you can strafe with them, especially the Fire Lance. And then, of course, they have other options. For example, their devastation and stuff for the Laos.
Where are we going? Sorry,
we're going to go. Yeah, up to Carl. Just the fort right up here. So, what are some of the other cav that are weird? So I'll go ahead and call the Rangers. The Rattan Rangers a little bit weird. So the Rattan Rangers are obviously on the Rattan tree, and they have a crossbow that they shoot. It's like a rapid fire crossbow. It's got a little bit of poison to it. They're pretty good. Again, all they are is just, I use them just like they are any other range cav. They do have a charge. It's not horrible. It gets stopped by anything pretty much, but so don't charge from the front. I use their charge as an escape, and I did bring them so I can run tests. I think I did. I meant to. Yeah. So we're gonna go over here and fight this person, and so was there any other one? Oh, I don't know. I mentioned that I'm not really going to talk about them, but I'll do real quick on. Oops, wrong button. What is it? Cautions, whatever the tier 4 is for season 2. Kev tool. Sorry. I'm pretty ignorant on the Kev tool. It's actually one of the only cav I've never used, so I can't really speak intelligently on it. I've heard it's broken and not worth using, and I haven't seen anything that makes me think otherwise. So if there's somebody who's got some experience with them and has had some success with them, by all means, let me know. In my personal opinion and my experience, I do have a lot of the cav, just so you can see I try a lot of it. The only 2 cav that are purple, in my opinion, that are worth having are the Armigers and the what's the hippity hops called? The Sipahis. Now the Sipahis are really slow and they have their own unique style. Don't think of them as cav. I just think of them as fast infantry because they just go in and jump. Pretty good for hero killing. All right.
Sorry, I've been back for a couple minutes. Am I just watching your stream? Or
Yeah.
Okay, great. Your stream's laggy for me. I'm going to try to disconnect.
Is this a random person we've just chosen to attack?
No, it's me on my own. It's totally me.
Thanks for the training.
You want me to bring out my monastics or my armigers?
It doesn't matter. We're just going to work on some advanced tactics later on, and while you're in here, it just saves time. So I will go ahead and start with these guys. These guys being the Rangers, the Rattan Rangers. So we've kind of talked about pretty much how to use all the cav. I can go into specifics for each cav. For example, the Rangers, there's 3 formations on the Rangers. Dispersed, horns, and wedge. 9 times out of 10, if there's a wedge, use it. There are a few exceptions, Rangers being one of them. They're actually pretty good in horns. Range cav is pretty good in horns just because, and I'll go ahead and do that real quick. It makes it easier to strafe, and when you make a mistake, which inevitably you will, you're not going to lose the whole unit. You might lose 4 or 5. And when you move around, you'll notice that because they're such a spread out formation, they tend to get caught up less. So let me hit 5 real quick so they don't shoot you. So moving around. So now let's just say real quick, I want to capture this supply point, and then I want to go to their home. So this is how I would move my cav. Obviously, this is a range cav, so I don't want it to go directly there because they might have defenses there. And you see I'm moving my cav all the way around, and I'm not even near my cav. Now they're coming around, circling around this supply point, doing what I needed to do. And now let's say, for example, an enemy cav is coming. I could easily just send it the other way. Now, 9 times out of 10, think of a cav as a big boat. You kind of want to go nice, slow turns. Like, for example, I'm running here. I'll do it right here because you can see kind of down the hill. And I want to turn to come around here. And then I want to come over here, a slow turn. And now I've worked my way back. I could have done the exact same thing by going like this. And then sharp turning them. But you see how they stop? As soon as they stop, that's when they can get charged by another cav, or guns and arrows and range hit them a lot more accurately. So think of it as a big, huge boat, and you're going to take big, wide turns. There you go. And as I'm doing cav, now 9 times out of 10, I said use the wedge formation. So that's what I'm going to do. And if I'm running with my cav, this is what I'm doing. Keeping my eye on her because she's the enemy. She's the threat. I'm getting to where I need to go. If I'm going to the supply point, wherever I'm going. Now I see an opportunity to flank. Now I can start coming this way. And this is literally how often I use my my X. When you're using cav, the more you hit X and you're moving them, the better control you're taking of your cav. And you'll look like it looks weird because I'm half attacking right now with my longsword. But what I'm doing is I'm running my unit right now. I can't swing and finish the thing. Any questions about movement and things like that? All right. Now you saw I got kind of caught up back there on some trees. So when I get a chance, I look, for example.
Oh, careful. Careful.
Oh no, you murdered my horse.
So I had mentioned that with this cav, I use the, what's it called? The charge as an escape a lot. So if I'm strafing that home point right there, dropping arrows. Uh-oh. I just charge out of the way. I just use my charge quick, and now I'm out. And then I can immediately stop in the middle of my charge and start shooting whatever just charged me or chased me off. So, and that works the same for any range cav. Obviously, not all range cav has charge, but the Lancer cav, I kind of showed you how to use that and how to avoid stuff. We talked about. Is there any particular cav anybody's got a question before I move on to the next thing?
Do you use Armiger's second charge to escape anytime?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I didn't bring my Armigers to give you an example of that. But for those that don't know, Armigers have a traditional charge, just like any other Lancer cav. They are a Lancer cav. So yes, I charge in, and what I'll do is depending on where I'm at. So say for example, I charged the home point over here. I can just do it actually instead of thinking about it. Actually, there's somebody on it, so I won't. So
I'll move you.
No,
Charge
that's
it.
fine. I use my charge. Armigers also have a cover commander. So I would hit that cover commander. In this particular case, I just hit C to make it look like I do. And then I would immediately, as soon as they're all lined up this way, then I would hit that second charge. And somebody else will look it up and tell what that actual is called. It's not called second charge. I'm sure somebody...
Gallop.
It's called
It's called a
gallop.
Gallop. There you go. Gallop. And it's just a short burst straight forward in the direction that they're facing.
I mean, I can give some more narrative on how to use it because I use the Armigers in basically every siege battle I play. Like, I don't leave them back. So if someone has some questions, I mean, I usually use it as more offensive than defensive.
Yeah, and that. Yes, you can do it that way as well. That's just somebody asked how I used it. I like them because you can use it as a back charge.
It is a back charge. If you turn your hero to face the other way when you hit the gallop, they will back charge through where they've just charged.
And sometimes when you use your first charge, it will get stopped a little bit by something. They'll get caught up. You press 3, they'll just keep on going. It's like
Yep.
a startup and you charge over again, and you don't just get caught up and chewed up by whatever units you're in. Right?
Yeah, and that's an ability and option specific to the armatures. All right. So has anybody got questions over specific or generalized Lancer and stuff like that, Cav, for any type of Cav?
Do you use Radon Rangers often?
I love them, but they are not the strong meta right now. I like them because I'm really good with Cav, and like I said, I use them like a boat. So there's a naval tactic that we learned in the Navy called crossing the T. It's actually a historical thing. You can look it up if you care. And I use the Cav with that stratagem in mind.
Usually for fielding, or do you use them for siege as well?
I use them for everything. There's better Cav for sieges, in my opinion, but their versatility and ability to project onto the walls, I like. So, good question. Anybody else got?
Can
Sorry,
you
go ahead.
show the veterans line you have?
Yeah, if you remind me after this, and it's the top. I
Yeah,
believe
sure.
it's the top line.
Okay.
With the Rattan Rangers, you can actually get all but like the last 2 points at the bottom as well. So there's not a whole lot of veterancy options with the Rattan Rangers. So we've talked about the types of Cav and how to use them. Now we're going to go over Cav tactics. Did I not? I didn't. I must have hit 5. No, it's still on melee. Anyway, actually, let me swap them out so I don't accidentally shoot somebody. So what we're going to do now is we're going to work on advanced tactics or tactics in general. So you get the idea of a charge. You just point it, the pointy end goes in the bad guy. So what we're going to do now is we're going to work on advanced charges. So advanced charges is one of the tactics is called cross charging. So for example, right now, if we were all to charge, we would all kind of come from the front. If you imagine that there's an enemy here.
It's kicked me out of the fight. Sorry.
It's okay. As long as we don't capture the point, we don't need it to hit anything. So if you imagine this point here, where if you look at where all of our units are, you can see mine over there on the left, and then you got those 2 units there. It's all pretty much going to come from the front. Which is a lot easier to defend. 2 walks can protect it, or a walk in a Fort Bracios, a couple of hero ultimates, etc. You get the point. So what we're going to try to do with cross charging is, and I'll get my unit and move it over. So now you can stop there. That's good. So now in those positions, if you look, one cav is going to come across this way. The other cav that he's over here, our short sword friend, who's got a cav hidden in the trees that I can't quite see on the screen, but you can see there. And then I've got mine back here. I'll bring it closer just to make it easier. Obviously, if I was charging, I would want to come with momentum, but this just makes it easier to get the concept of cross-charging. So we're going to try to time our charges to go across the home point around the same time. So everybody that's here, we're going to charge the home point in 3, 2, 1, charge. So everybody's going over here, and going to kind of charge across, and what that does is that's going to hit everybody from different sides. So they may stop one of us, but they probably won't stop all of us. Obviously, my Keshiks have a double charge, but so that's the concept of cross charging. I think it's pretty straightforward, so I don't think we really need to go too much into that. Is anybody got questions on it?
I guess it's mostly really just about actually coordinating that, right? It's
Yeah.
really the only hard part.
Yep. And at the very end, if we have time, before we time out of this battle, I will do a real action play. Obviously, there won't be an enemy there, but I'll make a shot call like I would if I was doing this, and I'd be like, let's see, who do I got? Faint Solace and Stealth God. We will do one actually live and, pretend like we're hitting the invisible person.
Yeah.
So that's one tactic. And then Short Sword, can you stay there? Okay. And let me know when I assume your charge is about ready.
Yeah, it's ready.
Okay. So this time what we're going to do now is layered or wave charging. So when there is a they're going to be coming from, we're going to be coming from the same direction here, but the first charge, and in this case, it's going to be, say your name, short sword.
Faint.
Feint. All right, so Feint's actually going to be the first charge here. He's going to use up resources. Imagine, I mean, obviously there's no enemy here, so there's no resource to use up. But resources could be knocking out a unit, shifting somebody over, making an Imperial walk. That's the Imperial pikes. And then I'm going to slowly follow up. Now, how I follow up is determine what we're trying to do. For example, if it's a walk that I'm trying to get that Feint is going to try to eat up, then I obviously don't want to charge right after it because I will also get stopped by the walk. But if there's Fortebraccio, he's going to go in there and hit the Fortebraccio first, and then I will follow up. So if you want to, go ahead and charge across the center. You'll see that I'm kind of coming along behind. There he got his charge. And then I follow up and clean up. So if, as you can imagine, if there's an enemy there, they had Fortebraccio, they had other types of pikes, use their walk, etc. So those are the waves or layers. There's different ways to use it, but attacking in waves is usually what I call it. All right, and those are the two big tactics that a lot of people either need to use, or that's what's going to determine your success as a Cav player, and conversely, as an enemy, be ready for it, because as a longsword,
Your invisible enemy has appeared.
yes. So those are the big tactics. That's cross charging and wave charging, or wave attacks, however you want to look at it. Other tactics are those are walkers, right?
Yep.
So if you'll watch, he's going to walk my Cav. But I faked him. So granted, I pulled the fake a little too late, so I lost half of mine. But that cost them resources. Faking charges is also an option, and all I did for that fake is I X'd behind him. I didn't actually charge, and then as soon as I saw him walk, I immediately hit X again. Now I hit X too late, so he was able to walk half my unit. Another good way to do that is to do the fake lineup, and I'll show you that right now. So one thing that gets people nervous is when Cav just lines up and points at them. And that makes them much more likely to... Oh, let me turn off my range. So, for example, I might come over here. Even though a shorter path would be to go directly, I want them to see my Cav line up. I want him to see my Cav turn and point at him. Maybe not quite this close. This might be a little bit much, but then I'll hit X and immediately do that. And that's how you'll bait them to walk. And that's all you need is one, because once you've baited them to walk, you've used that resource.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't need to layer because you just use the walk yourself. Any
And if you have the armigers specifically, their gallop is great for faking a charge because it really looks like a charge.
Okay. Any questions over those tactics or strategies? All right. Hearing
If you want to do a cross charge,
yeah, this time we're going to go, everybody on my team, go back to our home point, and I'm going to actually do a kind of like a shot call like I would.
I'll try to deal with it.
And stealth.
Well, how'd you bring a new set of pikes? That's interesting.
And stealth. Are you with us?
Yep.
Come on, crack.
Oh, you said our supply.
I said our home, but that's fine. All I want to do is like imagine us spawning in, and this is what we're gonna do. So I'll go down the center because since I'm filming and I probably could do that see a little bit better, and then I'll have yep, perfect. And then let's see, stealth. I'll have you go to the left out more, and so basically you're gonna cut. You guys are gonna come from the 90 degrees left and right, and I'm gonna come up the center.
So like a pincer almost.
Yes, we're gonna work on that cross charge.
Nice. Okay.
Okay, so you guys go ahead and move on out.
Ready. Yep.
So I know that, and this is how you organize. I know they're going to go wide, so they're going to take a lot longer. So what I might do is I might kind of come over here, and then come over here. And what all I'm really doing is just kind of keeping my momentum up because I don't want to stop moving because then I'm a target and I'm not a threat. And then I see kind of he's getting in place, so now I kind of need to line it up, and they're in place, and I'm ready when they are. So as soon as they go, boom, charge. And you'll see there's nice. The timing wasn't quite perfect, but you'll see I even got some good stuff, and we got to clean up thereafter. So it was a good charge, good cross charge. So
1 unit left.
one of the other things that I want to go kind of show is, and I'll have to wait 34 seconds, is the charge, I don't know, arrow, whatever you want to call it when you hit one. That actually determines how far out you charge. There are times when you don't want to go all the way out, but 9 times out of 10, I will go all the way out. If I don't want to go all the way out, I can cancel my charge by hitting X anytime I want. So I don't actually have to go that way, but once you've started it, you can't make it go further. Like, oh, and I can't tell you how many times I've done a charge way past somebody, and they hit a second unit. That's, transitioning. So I'll go ahead and move up here, and then I'll just kind of show you the one, which is the arrow, the charge arrow. So you can this will be a short charge, long charge, and occasionally you'll see it turn red. These actually have a relatively infinite charge until they run out of juice, so that it won't turn red with the Rangers, or the Rattan Rangers. But that gives you the idea. So, for example, again, they should charge right up to where I saw it, or where the arrow stopped. If you look, they'll go all the way over there and stop at about that point. Actually, they hit that rock. That's what that damage taken was. So some of the terrain. That shows pretty much the extent of the cav that I wanted to show you. I guess since we got these out, it'd be foolish not to show you. Just a quick demonstration of why we have these guys on the other side of walls. These guys, being the Forte Braccio. Why we have them poking out past gates. Is because they do you have the stun doctrine on them?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so my Cav's about, even though I'm not charging at them, you're going to see some Cav die real quick. Just because they touch that and get, boom, obliterated. And that's why when we make a bunker, you stick those little pokies out. Because even when they get hit from the side, as soon as they get there, it murderizes. All right, is there anything else anybody wanted to see before, because we got like about a minute left? I've shown everything that I wanted to show for this training. We'll probably use the second half to go over individual units and maybe some doctrines if people got questions over them. But the big thing is you've learned how to, maneuvering the Cav is the most important thing. Cav is expensive, so you'll want to learn how to maneuver it. The best thing I can recommend is to use the 2 green Cavs. That's the Couteliers and the Iron Cap Scouts. Those are the 2 best to use, in my opinion, because of their leadership costs and their replenishment costs, because they use the green horses. So they're a lot cheaper. The other benefit is if you can do it with those, you can do it with the higher level version. So learning how to use it, like when to use a good Coutelier charge, that perfectly translates to every other Lancer Cav. Same thing for the Iron Cap Scouts. If you can, if the Iron Cap Scouts, you used to use them well in what situations, then any situation that they're going to do well, the Keshigs, the Kev Tool or whatever, and the other melee Cav will do well.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So can you explain a little bit about the importance when we do village fights of taking that supply next to their spawn point and that cross-charging in and then switching out your unit to cross-charge back again? Because I've seen that happen a lot and it seems to be really effective.
Yeah, you talking about the one that's right next to their spawn point?
Yes. And people effectively using cav to basically cut them off there, but I've seen people switch out. So they literally are running their cav, switching out, running a different cav, then switching
Oh,
back.
well, charge
Oh,
cycling. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So what she's referring to is when you have a supply point, one thing you can do, and I guess I could have actually done it there. Any supply point it works at, it doesn't have to be a field battle. So the charge has a timer. For example, the Hussars have like a 1 minute timer on their charge. So I could actually charge and then immediately swap out a new unit and charge that unit and swap out and keep swapping out. So I can keep charging every. There's a 30-second time between when you pull out a unit and when you can use another, but it's not good for long periods of time because you can really only. But it's good for 2 burst charges. So and she mentioned when you've got the enemy pinned up, but you can actually use it when you're trying to break out of your home. So you immediately charge and forget. So let's say they're on our home point in a village, and for that matter, it works as well on a siege. But you can get it lined up, and as soon as you hit charge, immediately go over to that supply point, or hit charge from the supply point, depending on if that's an option, and then immediately start pulling out your second cav unit. And then at that point, then you can go in with your cav, because generally speaking, you're going to only have 2 cav units in a battle, and then you'll want to go in there and die so the next person can go in there. And that's just a tactic we use both to save our last home point and to get that final push on their home point. If you could take their forward base so that you can double charge with 1 hero, essentially. That was a good question. Anybody else got questions about anything? Okay. I've mentioned that I'll go over specifically some of the other cav, some of the other things for them. Actually, let me start running back. I'll assume there's nothing else anybody wanted to see from the field battles. So we'll talk about the Rangers. So Veteran Sea Line, I like the bottom line because I like Devastation. There are people that use Vigorous Assault, or I guess it's Blast. Vigorous Assault is the vet unlock. But this is what I use. I use them just like a regular Lancer Cav. So I'll go in with my charge. And then once I'm in the middle, I'll hit Bludgeon. And then I'll just use Devastation as another attack. Devastation used to be the really good one. But after the change, I think Bludgeon is now. Or the other way around. Sorry. Any questions on Rangers? Liao's Rangers? Okay, go on. Yeah, go ahead.
Quick comment. The blast.
Yeah.
All the units fire forward, and they fire at the level of a mounted unit. So they will not hit infantry, and they can't aim up, and they can't aim down.
Okay. Good to know.
If you're using blast, you need to be conscious of that.
Was that Rain? Was that Rain that said that? Okay, thanks, man.
That lets you hit infantry on a staircase, though, right?
Yes.
Okay. Good to know.
What ability was this?
Blast. I think it's one you have to
blast
spec into.
Top line veterancy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That is this one here. It's called Vigorous Assault for the vet line, but it gives the ability Blast. So for me, it's not really a viable choice, but and I don't know too many people that use it anymore. I'm a big fan of Devastation personally. As far as one of the weird things about them, being Rangers, the Liao's Rangers is actually the Rattan also is that they don't have a unit type, so they can't use Lancer doctrines and things of that nature. They do have their unique one that you can unlock with, or I think there's 2 or 3 of them that you can unlock under the quests. I'll go over Keshigs. Keshigs are melee cav. Actually don't have a whole lot of good docs on them. I don't know why, actually. I don't have a good reason. I kind of stopped using them, I guess. But they're a slashing damage type. They do have a unique charge. I personally like bottom because it does more damage against cavalry. I think the vast majority of people use the top because it's in here. It does more to infantry. somewhere in here. There it is. You do more damage to infantry. I like to do more against cavalry. I've got other units I use for anti-infantry, but the wedge formation that they have, and they have a unique charge where they charge out and then they will charge back to you. As they charge out, they take 30% less damage, and then as they charge back, they do 30% more damage. Okay, and then the hussars. I'll go over them. They're just a traditional Lancer cav. Obviously, you want to go to the bottom, and it's all because of that uninterruptible charge at the bottom. They don't have a good formation, which is why I showed you at the very beginning kind of how to funnel them through and try to use the landscape to help out, make them more of an impactful charge. As far as doctrines, anything works. There's nothing... the 40% chart, which I don't have, there's a epic doctrine where they take 40% less damage while charging. That would be the one I would put on there. Other than that, it's just make your charge better a little bit more. All the Lancer cav, I'm going to put the speed movement on. I talked about Rangers, but I'll go ahead and go over their veterancy lines that somebody asked. If you go to the top, and then you can, like I said, you can get almost all, but it looks like the last two for the Rattan Rangers. In this particular one, I do recommend, as far as doctrines, I recommend both the assassination and breakthrough, because it works for every bolt that they shoot. So when they rapid fire that 5 round burst, it actually does 95 times 5 or 85 times 5. Most people don't use the Sipahis. They have a real unique ability. Actually, I'll show the doctrines first. So they use blunt, which is a positive in my book, because units don't have good blunt damage defense. Sorry. So doctrines are based. My doctrines are based around blunt damage. I went the bottom line. I think the top line is just as good. So whichever way you go with these, I don't think it really matters that much. I think I'll have a little bit more hit points in the top. They do their hippity hop, as I call it, longer at the top, and then this. So either one is good. They have a normal charge. They are a very slow unit compared to other cav, and then they have a however you pronounce that, crupade, but. It's basically they just bounce up and down and do a lot of damage. One thing that a lot of people do not know about this is they do extra damage to heroes, and it's quite devastating. If you look here, mousing over assassins, it deals additional damage to heroes, and then anytime it defeats a hero, for I think it's 8 to 10 seconds. I'm not sure. You'll have to run more tests, but it does an additional 30% damage. And that stacks upon itself. So if you kill 2 heroes, it's 60 damage. And I've killed 3 heroes, and then I've seen a hero come in and instantly evaporate, like with 1 bounce. So works pretty good. Let's see, the next one, the Armigers. We've talked enough about the Armigers. They're a Lancer cav. They do have a unique one that you can unlock in their tree or their quest line. It's worth getting, in my opinion. Korchins and Salim shit. I don't recommend them. Their leadership versus what you get are just not good. I've tested them pretty extensively. The Korchins do hit a lot harder than the Iron Cap Scout Cav, which I'll get to in a minute. The problem that I have with them, and I'll actually show you this just because it's so bad, their pathing is the absolute worst out of any cav I've ever seen. So I'll actually go run a test on that just so you can see how horrible it is. Couteliers. Actually, I'll go in here and do this real quick. So the Couteliers and the Iron Cap Scouts are pretty straightforward as far as their doctrines as well. Piercing damage for the Couteliers. Basically, Lancer Cav, you're going to want piercing damage. And then for melee Cav, you'll want slashing damage. I'll do this one. But you see how they stop every time, and they start turning around, and then they're like, look at this, and they're moving around. Look at all that moving around. It's so hard to get them going in the same direction. Obviously, there's not any issues here, but just to kind of show you where I had last time, I had one or two get stuck. They're just absolutely horrible when the way they walk around. They get there and spin around and just getting stuck on every little thing. So their performance, like as far as when they charge, it's fine. Their speed is good. All their stuff is good. Their AI just makes them, to me, not worth using. Just because I don't know if they're too hyper. They put them on a sugar diet. I don't know what the hell's going on with them. So I don't recommend either of those blue cav. The range cav. One good thing about the range cav, both the blue one and the green, the bow cav, is the new doctrine, newish doctrine. There's and I'll just show you. It's on my bow cav. So they have a new epic doctrine which reduces enemy movement speed by 10% for 30 seconds. That's actually significant because pretty much, with the exception of a few of the melee cav that are out there, that means no cavalry is going to catch them. So when I had talked about kiting earlier, they're the kings of it. The other cool thing about this unit is because it's only 105 leadership, if you look, you can put it into a warband with, where is my, I have it somewhere. Oh, it's open world. There we go. You can fit 2 golden cav and with only a little bit of leadership. So you could fit a 3rd cav unit. And the cool thing about that is when you're doing open field battles and things like that. The Iron Cap bow riders will actually help out in field battles because you'll slow down all their cav, which makes your charges more effective, and they can't retreat and heal up and things like that. So, again, not what I would call a meta unit, but that definitely helps them out and makes them useful. I did want to go over the last 2 real quick for the cav. The Iron Cap Scouts, again, like I had mentioned, the slashing damage, top line for their veterancy, and I just mix and match for veterancy on the bow riders. I just wanted to get extra units. Couteliers, you're going to want the charge damage, which is top line, straight through. And again, piercing damage for the most part for them. Let's see. That's pretty much all the cav. I didn't go over Fire Lance. Fire Lance are like Laos without the extra cool stuff. They do a little bit better in range. Range damage, that is. Dagger Axe, I cannot come up with a good reason to use them. It says that they supposedly get a bonus against archers. Well, you don't need bonus against archers because you could just mow down any archers anyway. Prefecture Heavy, I think that they have potential. I honestly have never used them, so I just have a hard time justifying using a purple horse for a 4-star unit. Basically using the same horse and the resource that I would use for a tier 5. Does anybody have any questions? All right.
Just want to add that Yalman are utter trash, and you should under no conditions use them.
Yeah. For that matter, there's only 2 purple cav I would use. Armiger's 1, and like I said, the Sapahis, the Hippity Hops. Those are the only 2 that I use.
The only real reason to use Yalman is to level them up so you have a head start on Armiger Lancers. That's the only reason.
Yeah, that's about it. All right, no more questions. Anybody got any feedback or want to put up a counterpoint, something that I forgot? Whatever you want. Okay. Hearing nothing, we're going to go ahead and...
Sorry, I missed part of it at the beginning, but
okay.
My understanding is like I always have issues with especially the Hussars trying to get through a gate. You X them through the gate to a point beyond the gate. That's when they start funneling, and then you do your charge.
Yep.
Correct?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and it's right here, so I can show you again. It only takes a quick minute. it's easier to see going out. It also shows you kind of like the problems with pathing. So I'm holding my X, and I just click over there, and I'm already ready to charge. And as soon as I get some good stuff in there, there you go. And then I can do it again here in about a minute. I'll come from the other direction, and hopefully I won't hit as many as I just did. The further away you are, because what they're actually doing is each one gets an individual command. So the guy standing here is getting a command that he needs to go this way, the way I'm facing with my camera.
Right. Yeah,
So you're immediately telling him to go here. So he's going to kind of come in a little bit. So the further away you are, the better the angle is going to be. And you could do other tricks. For example, instead of lining them up like that, I could line them up like this. And even though when I hit my X, now they're already closer to lining up. So,
yeah, I've done that before.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can use the F2 formation, but it takes them a long time to get into the F2 formation.
So it's better to use the first formation. That's what I always try to do, is put them in the F2 formation. But yeah, it takes a bit to line up.
Yep.
Okay.
So the other reason why I try to keep them in this is just because if somebody jumps in on them, they're closer together to defend each other. Kind of if I already hit V. So again, just hitting X, hitting on the other side. You'll see them lining up. Lining it up.
Nice. Okay.
Good question. Anybody else got any questions or feedback or anything?
Thank you.
Yep. Any other tactics or
We appreciate it.
any other requests for the next training session?
We're doing unit meta, aren't we, next time?
That's right. Actually, yeah. I did forget to.
I was gonna